What's up everyone, it's Chachi Power here with Rocket Punch Army, and this is my third Gokin review for 2013, starting off real good. This is the Brave Gokin 39 Bosspalder from the Blocker Gundam 4 Machine Blaster series, also known as Blocker Army 4 Machine Blaster, Blocker Corps 4, Blocker Army 4, Blocker Corps Machine Blaster, and the Italian version that's known as Astro Robot Contatto Y. Whatever. It's a cool robot, so I want to show you guys. Alright, so you've got in a few seconds to look at the front here. This is typical CM's quality box. Their boxes are usually thin cardboard, but very high quality printing, nice and glossy. You see they always use bold lettering, very eye-catchy. And I like the fact that this back here kind of looks like artwork, it looks painted, but it's actually the prototype figure right back here. So that's a nice touch. And this is the figure here again. And a bunch of Japanese that I can't read. I wish I could. And here's the back. The back shows all the different features and gimmicks and poses that you can do with this incredible figure. Now we're going to go ahead and open this up, see what's waiting for us inside. Now when you crack open the box, you are greeted with a tray and also this full color instruction booklet, which shows you how to put the head on, all the different gimmicks that the robot has to offer, which we'll get into in just a moment. And down here it also shows you where to put all those plugs for the screw holes. Oh, and CM's is keeping it real, guys. Look at this. It is now 2013. This was just released probably in 2012 sometime, but wow, they still make their stuff wrapped in styrofoam trays. I know a lot of you tree huggers out there are probably like, oh, styrofoam, whatever. If you're gonna throw out your boxes of toys, it's probably because it's a cheap, crappy toy. You don't want to throw out stuff when you're dealing with high-end stuff. You want to put it back in the styrofoam when you're done with it and take care of it. So that's why they make them out of styrofoam. Plus, that's the only way to do Gokin. I'm sorry. It's the only way to do die-cast robots properly. I know a lot of companies don't do that anymore. They do plastic trays, but whatever. I love my styrofoam. As I've said before, I would like to have babies with styrofoam. But, oh, upside down. Let's turn this around. Way to be professional there. Alright, so here's what you see when you first open it. And I have not touched the figure, guys. This is first time I'm doing this. First time I'm looking at it. Completely blown away so far. It just looks beautiful. I just can't wait to hold it in my hands. Hopefully I will not be let down. Now let's start off by showing you guys the layout. It's very obvious where everything is laid out, but I'll point out all the little pieces before we go ahead and start pulling everything out. Now you got the little ship here which forms the head. This is piloted, if I'm not mistaken, by Tenpei Asuka. Alright, so that's the pilot of that thing. Let's get that out of the way. Then you got the main body here. You have the alternate hands down here. You have two chain weapons here, and then you also have body plugs. Now these plugs cover up the screw holes in case they bother you. I tend to not put these on. I love knowing that there's screws on the robots because of die-cast. So let's go ahead, let's remove this little brace here and free this guy. Alright. Oh, nice and hefty. I like it. Now, CM's, they do make some crappy plastic toys, and I'm talking completely crappy plastic toys, but their Gokin are usually top-notch, and this is, so far, no exception. Now, some previous CM's Gokin has come in gigantic boxes only to have a robot like this big. You know, like Gokin, for example. There's just tons and tons of accessories that I don't want to even have. I don't want to pay for. I just put away, and you pay so much for a tiny little figure. Now, they don't mess around with this guy. This guy is a nice size, nice heft, and you're not overburdened with a bunch of accessories and stuff. Just very basic 2 chain weapons, and that's it. So we'll take a look at this little ship here. Now usually CM's in their prototype photos, they look like crap really close, but this looks great. I mean, this is magnified with a macro lens, and you'll see the paint apps still look nice and sharp. Take a look down here. You can see his face, a little bit more detail up there, the clear red plastic, and the little boosters out back. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on his head, and all you really need to do for that is just fold the head down, and you'll see there's a bar that runs right down the bottom. You're going to want to put the bar in between these 2 tabs up and the top of the neck. Right, so we'll go ahead and try that out here. See if that works the very first try, and it did. So there you go. Now, I don't know if it's the colors, just something about it just grabs my attention, and I just love the way it looks. It feels nice, and I know a lot of you guys that are into the newer robots may find this a little silly looking. It does look like a big Mexican piñata, but I don't know, I just find it to be a bit fascinating. Now you do have to remember that this aired back in the late 70s, so I mean all robots looked pretty silly back then. But this really has to be held in hand to really appreciate it. If you don't like the way it looks, you know, I'm thinking holding in your hand would make a big difference. Now you can see all the screw holes out back, so that's why they include all the plugs. This actually does not bother me, so I don't need to plug it up at all. Now I do want to show you the die cast that's in this figure, so we'll take a look at that right now. Right, so it's got a fair amount of die cast, right? And that would explain why it feels so wonderful to hold. I mean, this thing has a nice heft. Now if you're wondering why the waist looks all weird, is because it has a plastic protective film there, which keeps the die cast parts from rubbing against each other because there is this movement. And speaking of movement, I think I should go ahead and just show you guys the articulation. So the head here, all right, has a fair amount of movement side to side. It can look down to the side, so very good range of movement. Then you got the shoulders here. You got this spinning piece here that just lays on the shoulder, and you got the shoulder that actually, you'll see how that comes out right there. It actually pulls out. You can push it back in, but if you want more range of movement, bring it out this way. Very nice joint system going on there. Then you have this here. I love when they do this because you don't have any gaping holes there on the elbow when you go to bend it. See? That's just great engineering right there. So there's the elbow. No ratchets there, but there are ratchets for the arm to spin around. Right? And it has that cool, nice uppercut look to it right there. And of course you got the fists here, which spin right there. You don't know if there's a ball joint there yet. We'll find out when I go to change the hands. And then you get the upper waist here, and also swivels to the side. Not too much, and that may be due to the plastic being in there, but we'll move right along. Down here you got the hips, and the hips, you'll see all that metal right there. Look at that, and you'll see the ratcheting pieces. And they're very, very soft, high-end feeling ratchets. They're not loud. You can barely hear them, but you can feel them, and it's nice and firm. There's no floppiness in this figure whatsoever. Now one thing to note about the legs here, it looks like there's not a lot of room here for movement. What you can actually do is pull the leg out, and that gives you a freedom of more movement. Now if we move down to the knees, same thing. Like the elbows, it's got this panel here. Instead of having this hole wide open, they've devised a way to have the panel there so that you can bend the knees, all right, with a good range of movement, and when you unfold it, it's nice and flush. You still have that big seam there, but it's better than just having a hole back there. Now if we move down to the ankles, right, the feet are actually very stiff, and they're on a metal ball joint, it looks like down there. I believe it's, yes, it's metal. All right, so the actual joint system on there is metal, and you'll see the feet can come off. That's the ball joint there, the metal ball joint, and the inside of this die-cast foot looks to have a plastic female piece in there to hold the joint together. Now the feet also have a gimmick. If you want more articulation on the leg or want to make them taller, just pull this out. So far it's a very impressive piece. And I mean, where can we go from here? You do have the alternate hands. I'm going to show you the alternate hands. You do have the open hand here, and the sculpting on the hands is beautiful. I love those gray seams. And you also have the weapon holding hand. So I do want to show you the weapon holding hands on the figure. So what I'm going to do is actually show you one of each. I'm going to show you the open hand and also the weapon holding hand. Now to use the alternate hands, you just pop off the fists. Oop, a little tight here. Alright, so we got that off. Got to be careful, a bit tight, and with the cold, the PVC doesn't want to really stretch out. Then you replace the hand. Now, due to the excessive temperatures in this room, and I'm talking it's freezing here, the PVC is not very pliable. It actually feels like hard plastic, so it's not giving a lot, which makes it very difficult to pull these hands off and put them back on. In fact, I can't even really put them back on. So if it was a little warmer, maybe I could do a little bit better, but I managed to just basically squeeze it onto the tip of the ball joint there, so I apologize not being able to fully show you guys, but you'll get the idea. It has this weapon. It actually has two, so you can use the other hand also to hold two of these. Now what he lacks in weapons, he makes up for in gimmicks. So Not a lot of gimmicks, but you do have the chest that opens up here. Get this out of the way a little bit. Alright, and the chest opens once you move the arms out. There you go. And apparently those are missiles he can launch from there. And then another gimmick is in this belt buckle here. What you do is pull it out. More missiles. And aside from that, the only other thing to show you is really just the screw plugs, which you know, I did show you before, the holes on the back, but this is the actual sprue that they're attached on. Now they're molded in red and just spray painted with gray for the other parts. It's a very light gray. And that's really it, guys. I think through the handling and, you know, finishing off this review, I did find one negative point, which might be just mine, alright, is the fact that the foot comes off really easily. If you remember earlier in the video when I was moving the foot around, it popped off. It keeps popping off. Alright, it seems that the ball joint does not situate itself well into the foot. But aside from that, incredible, guys. This is an absolutely wonderful Gokin. Way to start off 2013. Now, if you're looking to get this, it's going to run you a little over $100 probably. But it's kind of difficult to find at the moment. If you get lucky and you like it, go ahead, spring for it. It's a beautiful figure. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Stay tuned. I got more Gokin coming. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.